Hey, this is Daniel with TEXAS-TUK. Today we have a lineup of Piaggio Apes, and I'm going to point out some differences between some of the different models. Because even though they are very similar, there's also just slight differences, okay? So in the lineup of Piaggios, the two most common ones that you're going to find is what's called a 501 and a 601. Now sometimes there's a 400 or a 500, but there's really only cosmetic differences. So that's what I'm going to point out on this lineup. So the first one we have here, this is a 1978 Piaggio Ape, and it's what you would call a 600 MP. So this is, you know, in the 70s. Now, one of the differences you'll see on this one is it has this great rounded fender, okay? When you go to some of the older models, you'll see a square fender. So to point out an early 600, you have a rounded fender and you have two headlights, and this particular model had the extended bed. That was an extra option that you could get. Sometimes the bed was shorter, or you could get a long extended bed. So if you're trying to make a food truck, this is a good sturdy workhorse, and it has an extra long bed, which I'll point out once we walk around the corner. All right, the next one in the lineup is this 1991, a P501. They always have badges on them that kind of tell you what they are. And in the 501, you start to see this square fender. So a lot of people that are making food trucks, they will paint this either all white to match the white, but it has one headlight and a square fender. When you look at one like this, notice how it has two headlights and a rounded fender. This one's more squared. So a 600 or a 601, a little bit bigger, and then a 501. They have a smaller bed, but it's still a very strong workhorse, all right? So move down the line. This is almost identical. These two right here, a 90 and 91 501s. Then the next one is another 601. This is also a 1978 P601. Again, look at the differences. It has two headlights and a square fender. 501 has one headlight and a square fender, right? So there's just small differences. And then that Ape 600 MP from 1978, and look at the cool round fender there. All right, now let's walk around and look at the back of the bed. All right, so this one's great because we already have the engine door off. You can kind of see they built all of them this way where you could easily get to everything in the engine. We have the starter motor, the clutches here, the muffler, the ignition coils under here. This is an air breather for your carburetor. The cylinder sits here. So yeah, starter, clutch, muffler, ignition coil, and then all that is covered up with one of these lids that go in and drop in, and then you have your working bed. All right, so this truck is an extended bed. It has about this much more length. So when we compare it to a 501 that has a shorter bed, you can see this has a lot of space if you're gonna build out any kind of a food truck or a Prosecco mobile bar. This gives you a lot of real estate. Another cool thing about these 601s is what the side rails do. You can pop those and the tailgate comes down, but they were designed for when you're out in the field, like in southern Italy, and they were getting grapes or watermelons. Watch what this does. You can pull this pin, that pops down, and then the other side pops down. So when they're working in the field, they can load this truck from both sides. So what's cool about it is you have a flatbed truck now. So boom, you pop that down, you put whatever you wanted to load. So if you're gonna convert this into a food truck, you could think about that of just using just this flatbed and take those rails away. Or if you wanted the rails, you have it, it goes up. I mean, you could build something where there's hidden drawers under here. You pop that flap down, then you have all your drawers and tables that come out. So it's very versatile. It has lots of different uses. But again, I want you to look at the bed length. If you come around, this is a short bed, and this one is a long bed. If you walk all the way around, you'll be able to see it on this green one as well. If we line up a 601 extended bed next to a 501 standard bed, look how much more room is there. This is pretty much lined up, and an extended bed was an extra option if you wanted a bigger truck, right? So there's that much more length on an extended bed. Now, if we just roll out this little standard P501, you can kind of see the bed and those measurements. And if you just send us a quick message, I can give you all the dimensions and what these measure, the height, the length, the width. But until you see them lined up, you may not necessarily have known that they had different beds. So the cabs are almost all identical. It just has different bed lengths.